The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got weed pots.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stoned Appetit. With your host, as always, it is me, Kip, and to my left, I got CB. CB, how are you today, my friend?
I'm not going to comment about the weather, but I'm doing great. And nobody wants to hear that. And I'm excited that Eve took the prize home in this past draft.
Why are you excited for that?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Don't you want to win? Don't you want to be a winner?
Yeah, have a spine. Tell her to fuck herself.
You know, the issue with being a winner is
What?
everybody's gunning for you. If you stay in the middle of the road, you don't get all the glory, but you get a little recognition.
That's like the most George
Wow,
W.
you
Bush
just
answer
flipped that.
I've ever heard. It's like C's get degrees kind of vibe is what Chris just gave. It's like, yeah, you know, you can just fly.
But you've
under
gotten
the
so
radar.
upset when you haven't won in past.
I know, but this time, at least though, in some of the comments on this one, at least people were like clearly stating like, normally I go for Kip, but not this time. So like, there is some bullshit about people just supporting the face.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what
Okay,
it
people revealed
is.
themselves.
That's what it is. He's just glad that I didn't win. And that's understandable. As somebody, I feel like the fucking Patriots over here. I've won like 7 of 8.
I wouldn't go that high.
I mean, in the last 6 months, I've won at least 4.
Okay, but again,
Maybe.
I mean, that's very Tom Brady-ish. Well, I am the Tom Brady of this podcast.
I think on our next one, we don't put our
Names?
faces by the side
That's fair.
and let
Go
the
anonymous.
audience go.
Ooh.
That's the only true.
Unless they listen to the pod.
Hey, fuck yeah, that's fine. If
Yeah,
you're listening
okay.
to pod, that's
Okay. I already have an idea for next month, but I'll tell you later.
Yeah,
for
I
the-
would say if you listen to the pod, yeah, that's
Then
a
you
good
have
way
that
to.
courtesy. Yeah, you
yeah.
can come back and vote that way if you want to know who did what.
Because yeah, we keep it anonymous. Nobody knows
Okay.
until 24 hours
Sure.
after voting, and we share the results.
That's
Yeah.
totally fine. And let's go ahead and take it to our champion, Queen Eve, the beaver queen herself.
Call me that. Please.
You get
She
the
is a beaver believer.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I love that fucking magnet. It's going to get some serious love here on the studio. But how are we doing, Queen Eve?
I mean, great now that I won, I guess.
The crown is heavy, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the happiest I've ever
But
seen.
I didn't need to win. Like, I was happy enough. Even if I was like last place, I wouldn't care, you know?
You
You've
had
got that
40.
winning spirit, though. You know if like
You've had
you're
the
a
taste
competitor.
before,
Sure.
haven't you? You've won.
I've won some.
Yeah, so I mean, we're coming up on 1 year with Eve, so we'll have her whole takes on that in the coming weeks as we hit that big mile marker. But we've got a great episode for y'all today. I just got done with a restaurant trade show where it was hysterical, hearing comments from vendors, distributors, producers, and chefs alike, as well as we learned a lot that we'll be able to use to better help our friends in the community, small business owners and things of that nature. We're going to talk about that. Chris is another published motherfucker. We've got the Best of Denver presented by Westword, dropped right before this episode. So I have those all pulled up. We'll see how long they go. We'll dive into some of the fun ones. I know Chris has got some insider knowledge, so we'll talk about the ones that you were proud of. And then we're going to talk James Beard Award finalists. We have a couple Colorado representatives. Then we're going to do March Madness Final Four. We had upsets in the Elite Eight. Very reminiscent of a Duke-NC State battle, and I am elated for all the parties that will be participating in today's Final Four matchups. And before we get out of here, we'll make sure that Eve picks a winner of the Bucees draft. But before we dive into any of that, let's give a shout out to our sponsors and our friends. We're a week and a half out from tax day. Maybe you need some help to get it filed before April 15th, reach out to our friends at Seed Money Consulting. We posted about them on social media yesterday. They were on the cover of Parker Magazine for Parker, Colorado, for them making big moves in the industry. They're helping small to medium-sized businesses get their ducks in a row, not only for tax season, but for the future as well. It doesn't matter if you've already filed your taxes. Do not leave your books unkempt for 2024. Reach out to our friends, get everything aligned. Do not leave money on the table this year. Work with our friends at Seed Money Consulting. They are located right here in Denver. Shop local, sport local, spend your money local, save your money local. Stop giving it to the local government. Seedmoneyconsulting.com. Put in an inquiry. Tell them we sent you. Nothing will actually come of that if you tell them that we sent you, but it kind of gives us a little leverage when it comes to negotiation time. So shout out to our friends at Seed Money Consulting. We love working with y'all, and thank y'all so much for making sure I did not get audited, nor did the company. Woo woo! Let's dive in first things first. Chris, how about this weather?
I mean, spectacular, guys. We got a low pressure system
Okay,
coming
calm.
in. I'm only kidding. But I'm trying to have this as a launch pad to my career in meteorology. I don't think those guys really go to school or anything.
It doesn't sound like you went to school either.
Touche.
Burn.
My school doesn't exist, so technically I didn't.
Oh, that is
wow.
true. I forgot y'all got it. You went to Liberty University, is that right?
Falwell?
Yeah.
No.
Jerry Falwell.
Are you a Phoenix?
If only I was so lucky. Anyway, so yes. What a fun week we've had so far.
Dude, I'm fucking exhausted. The Colorado Restaurant and Bar Trade Show was a hoot and a holler. I want to give a shout out to Amy and the whole team from What Chefs Want for letting me just eat every fucking oyster that they brought in for samples for everybody. I must have had 30 of them. I love it so much. They're obviously great and very courteous. They work with restaurants, especially for one-off things when your normal provider shits the bed, but they also do like high-end produce, exotic fruits, vegetables, meats, game, all of those things, but they can help you no matter what if you're a restaurant. And so they were a popular section. Shout out to Denise and the team at CRA. Man, they throw a hell of a party. They throw a hell of a fucking party.
Question for you. Is there any new type of restaurant equipment out there that we need to secure for the studio?
Well, we'll talk with our friends at Redstone and Bar Green Ellingson about that, because this was more kind of like for purveyors in that aspect of purchasers and buyers more than it was like, but there were some dry age machines where they were just holding big fish and big fucking tomahawks. It was sexy, Chris. It was sexy. We had some pretty good seminars I sat in on, learned a little bit about it. But the best part, I think, was there was just a casual conversation, and I was laughing my tits off. They were just shitting all over the Denver influencer scene. They're like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And to be honest, we've said it time and time again, we don't either. And it's because it's just like a mass message of just bullshit most of the time. So it was kind of that same thought, and they were like, oh, you're an influencer? And I was like, no, please don't lump us in with them. We have a podcast. We tell the truth. We don't take free meals. Like, please, God, don't lump us in with them. But it was fucking hysterical. I was dying.
That's what kind of sucks now is that like the influencer term seems to cover a broader category than what it did, because I wouldn't say we're influencers.
Yeah, we're the anti-influencer.
I would say, like, if anything, we promote our own opinions. We share what we like and what we think is good, and then we support the people.
Yeah, and you mentioned something earlier that I think kind of resonates with that is there's a ton of new restaurants opening right now, and I want to play a game with us over the summer. Is it actually good, or is it just new and the PR reps sent every influencer an invite? Because I've declined them all, and I've pretty much gotten blackballed by most of our PR firms at this point.
Great.
But that's the name of the game, is like, how do we sort through the noise to find the quality? And I think the same conversations are being had at the trade shows as well, because over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see 15 fucking different reels of the same goddamn restaurant. And then if you go try it and it's mid as shit, I'm going to be fucking pissed off. Luckily, we don't follow any of those accounts anymore. I've just purged everybody. But that's the name of the game for the summer. Is it actually good, or is it just new?
And that's why a lot of the times, too, where it may seem like we're behind the eight ball, we just give those new restaurants a little bit of time most of the time before we go and check them out.
And if a chef reaches out, we'll come try something. But if I get an email from a PR firm, we'll just be like, this ain't our cup of tea, or we'll send Eve.
And also, one thing about this influencer stuff that gets me thinking is like, when you and I like started reaching out to chefs to interview them to bring them on the podcast, we were doing that because we were just generally interested in their stories and hearing about how they entered the field and started this. And so I don't know many influencers that are that interested in learning more about food and learning more about this stuff. They're just there for free
Clicks
meals
and free meals.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
you know,
Look,
yeah,
teach
if
their
that's-
own.
yeah,
but
but-
that's not. Well, I was like, please don't lump us in with them. And it made me laugh, but it also made me think. And it spurred off of a conversation I had with the Denver Reddit founder. Was, they have so many posts over there, and we joked how they're like, they bat, about 500. And I wanted to ask, do you trust the Denver influencer scene more or the Denver food Reddit more to find quality restaurants in town? Like if you were to look through and be like, oh, they're talking about West African food, or we're talking about actual Korean restaurants, would you rather trust the Denver influencers or would you trust the Denver food Reddit?
So here's what I'll say. I think, obviously, I don't trust the Denver influencers, just because it's kind of like the same content over and over again, and they're showing kind of the same dishes.
Yeah, it's better
And
this season, Chris.
So the one like, I guess you could say influencer that I like, the only one that I really follow is Denver Food Scene, and that's just to get an idea
of what's out there.
Yeah.
I agree. Like you don't
And
have
they
to,
aren't really influencing. They're just kind of sharing like,
They're like-
hey, this is something new that opened. And, so I like that about them because they do share a lot of information about what's going on. The Reddit, I think what's valuable about that is the comments. Because, like, even if you were to say, look at a food influencer on Denver, like, Instagram comments are just like, ooh, that looks bomb. Oh my God, yes, must try. Whereas Reddit, people will just be like, give their opinions like we do. And they'll just be like, nah, man, that's not it.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's a lot of like, oh, I'm asking for the best Mexican. It's not, hey, Denver, what's up, Denver? Here's 5. It's like, no,
Yeah.
fuck that guy. It's like, I want someone that will sit here and tell you the truth instead of sugarcoating it. And so I couldn't agree more. The comment section, it's also funny as shit. It's
Yeah.
very funny. Like sometimes people are like, why don't you get out of your fucking house and go try some new restaurants instead of complaining about the Denver food scene? I think I agree in that aspect. And there are obviously some great people in the community that are not only highlighting spots, but folks that, I trust. Laura, the new Denzian, who helped us with our March Madness bracket, she gives you authentic approaches, tells you what she likes about the meals. She can talk about ingredients that she tastes, which I don't think 90% of the crowd that gets all the clicks can do.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, how can I make this aesthetically pleasing? But at the same time, the Denver Reddit will throw you some gems in there too.
And New Denzian's in that top tier. They're, I wouldn't say like they're that.
She's
huge
an actual
category of
author too.
influencer.
She's an
Yeah.
actual author.
She investigates. She cares. She tries new stuff. So yeah, I want to make it clear I did not lump her into
No,
that bigger
and I know,
category.
but when I was thinking influencers, I was like, there's still gems out there. But yeah, it made me laugh at the trade show. I was like, oh, fuck, I hope we're not lumped in with them because everyone's like, oh, what's stoned appetite? Which reading is still, it's hit or miss in America these days. But it made me laugh. My feet hurt like the dickens. But there were some really cool symposiums and educational forums, not only about the future of the restaurant industry, like how it's shifting towards tech, what restaurateurs should be investing in. But yesterday, Amanda Faison moderated a bunch of restaurateurs talking about how they handle not only wages, but tips. and learning about how different restaurants with different, size of front and back of house, it was very informative. So if y'all are looking, there's obviously some really great restaurateurs that are doing cool stuff in that space, but that also kind of makes me laugh because the Denver Food Reddit has gone after restaurant groups, which we will not talk about today.
Yeah.
Because we have not worked at those restaurants, so I can't speak to them. But I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
But it was really neat
Yeah.
to learn more about how these restaurants' financials kind of work. And it's a subtle reminder that why don't we pump the brakes a little bit in terms of yelling at folks about costs, because obviously these are a bunch of people that don't have any actual frame of reference that are complaining
Yeah.
about it. It's like, well, do you know how much it costs to keep someone staffed or to train a new one? Do you know what it actually costs to get a fucking box
Do you know
of
the
chicken?
margins that they operate
it's
on?
unbelievable. And so learning about that, it creates a little bit more empathy and gives you a little bit more respect for the staff, especially when you see that oftentimes they're working together so that the rising tide could lift all boats when a restaurant's successful.
I think when that topic of costs and stuff comes up, I love to hear the people who like are just so animated about I'm a 20% tipper across the board, but when they put that already on the check, like that just irritates me. And I'm just thinking like the logic behind that, dude. Clearly you aren't a 20% tipper, because why would that even affect
Ruffle
you?
your feathers. Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, you already did 15%
Or are
of the
you
work
one of
for
those
me.
guys that tips 20% on food costs but doesn't tip on booze? Because you still got to tip on the fucking booze, guys.
I just find the total number and I try to do that. But recently, with how times have been and like with inflation coming back down, I feel it's, it was important to kind of show a little bit more love.
Right.
25% can be fine. But also at the same time, these restaurateurs are trying to combat the concept of, oh, well, they not pay enough here. They don't deserve to be in business. They are. And they're doing everything they can to make it all just.
And equitable. And like, and I think I can't remember what article. Maybe it might have been a thing in the Westword. But I think like Bobby Stuckey and Frosca Hospitality, they've managed to find a way to kind of navigate it with certain pay kind of distributions within the restaurant, which I think is great.
Points system with
Because
seniority and things.
Yeah, like certainly if you don't have as much knowledge as someone else does, or if they're in a much larger role than you are, then they should get a bigger slice of the pie. That's how the world works. But you're all like sharing, it's all equally distributed. But the whole thing of like service charges and stuff, that's where it gets dicey.
It's interesting and it's a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it was nice to just learn a little bit more about it, and it creates a little bit more of a reason to have grace. And
Yeah.
I think that's something I don't have grace for everybody, but for those that are in the industry, I have more for than these fuckers that are taking pictures.
And I will say one of the best kind of breakdowns I've seen is Penelope with Jan Wonton, where she's shown you a couple of things like how much this item costs. Then you got to go into the labor that's associated with that dumpling that you're eating. And then you go into this, and when you add it up, there's like 40 different items that go into this one dish, or like 40 different like line budget items.
So I want it for $6 because Mason's buys theirs from Costco or Restaurant Supply and does that. Yeah.
Like people don't think about the bigger picture of like the preparation, the staffing, the paying of that, health insurance, all that shit that goes into the meal you're eating.
I couldn't agree more. But I'm glad you brought out Penelope, because I have two things, and it drives us into our next happy segment, presented by our award-winning friends at Dialed In. If y'all don't know, Dialed In has been with us all month long. We've done Wake and Bake specials. They're the sponsors for the March Madness Final Four and the Edible 8, which just wrapped up. But speaking of award winners and finalists and Final Fours, Chef Penelope is she is a Beard finalist for Best Chef Rocky Mountain, as is Chef Matty Valter I call him Matty, I'm sure you would prefer Matthew or Matt, out of Breckenridge with Rootstock, a former, an executive chef when he lived down here in Denver at Mercantile under Alex Siddell. So he has deep ties to the Denver community, and that's how we met him. But we would have to do a little tip of the cap to our friends that are headed over to Chicago. And that's not where it ends, Chris. Some of our, repeat guests of the pod, Kelly and Erica Whitaker of IE Hospits. Yeah, they're up for Restaurateur of the Year in the country. That's right. I mean, they brought home 2 stars, 2 green stars, as well as they had a bib and a place as well, I think, or maybe a place for Hey Kiddo. But they're doing great shit. And I think they did get a bib for Basta up in Boulder. So I mean, they brought home a lot of fucking hardware last year, and they have rightfully so are in the finals for best restaurateur in America. So we're wishing our luck to those 3 as they make the trek over to Chi-Town.
You know, one of those things, Rootstock, I might actually get to visit that in a week or so here. So I'm super excited. That's been on my to-do list for a long time.
You need to go to the Breck Distillery tasting room that was voted best in America by USA Today. Shout out to sponsors of June 2023. But at the same time, we wish them all the best.
And even those ones who made the semi-finalist list, like Sapsua for best new restaurant and stuff, all those people that made that are extremely talented, and that's a good nod in and of itself.
Yeah, agreed. I couldn't agree more. And speaking of nods, I don't think this is the only awards, Chris. Your ass was in the newspaper, the magazine, but at the same time, Best of Denver was dropped by Westword today. And so I wanted to see which ones you were most excited about. Which ones did you have your dirty little fucking fingers involved in? And then let me tell you about some of the ones that I have gripes with and the ones that I like.
Okay, so let me just say...
Did you do First Date with Point Easy?
Huh?
Did you do Best First Date for Point Easy?
No.
Okay. I thought that was maybe you.
You should guess which one's Chris's.
I think I
did.
know. He did
know?
Best New Food Truck with Double Wide, the dank ass sandwiches.
Yeah, honestly, I think with them, I think it was the personality of the 2 operators. I'm blanking on the names right now. I'm sorry. But
What
the
a
fact
dick.
that
What a dickhead.
the smash burgers are great, and I'm not even the biggest smash burger fan, but I think what really kicked it over the top for me was that vegetarian mushroom sandwich that they gave me. It was so delicious, and they've got a lot of cool stuff coming up, like in terms of wanting to do pop-ups, wanting to change the menu and things like that. So I don't know. I think them really only having like a year or so under their belt, I thought they deserved it.
I think that's a great call. I think that's a really good one. And I think you had Best Meal on Wheel or Pizza on Wheels, Outside Pizza.
Yeah.
Those are bangers.
That crew is fucking fantastic. And I don't know, whenever they have their special pickle pizza, you got to get it. Because they make their homemade...
What's a pickle pizza?
It's just like a pizza with homemade pickle slices on it. You wouldn't think it's that good, but
I'm tempted though.
I think you would love this.
I think I would like it too.
Maybe that's another
But I've never heard of a
field
pickle
trip.
pizza.
Okay, once they announce they're going to do a pickle pizza, we'll go check it out and grab one. But it's so good because you have the salty sweetiness of that vinegar with cheese and stuff. It's fucking really good. And then obviously I had my little hand in the tacos from a favorite that you actually put me on.
That was one of mine. Oh, I had it on the ones that I agreed with.
Yeah.
El Sampa Taquiera.
Yeah, and I mean,
so good.
yeah. So shout out to you for putting me on that. And I had, that taco is so good. And it's so unique.
It's a little bit different, but a little bit it's just perfect.
And then obviously the best rosé, hands down, that was all me. Edgewater Beer Garden.
I didn't see that one, but I like where your head's at. That's a great call too. I fully agree with that. Here are the ones that I enjoyed, and then I have a couple gripes.
And real quick though, shout out to Molly and the whole team at Westword, because this is something that
takes all year.
That starts months before people submit their stuff. They go through it. It's a long process, and I think they've been doing it for
years.
Fucking since the 80s.
Okay, so here's one of the ones I loved, Chris. I don't know who was over near my house. I don't know if they heard us talking about it. Best Taco Tuesday, Don Carlos Taco Shop #3. That's the liquor. It's at the liquor store next to my house. So I don't know if it was because I sat there and I was like, everyone come try this place. And it turns out a lot of folks already had. I loved that they got a mention. What else did I love? Best Thai in the strip mall being Suvipa fuck the strip mall. It's just best Thai. Like it's up, like, because you could give that to Farmhouse with the strip mall exclusivity.
Yeah, yeah.
Suvipa is 7 times better than Lamai Thai, than Daughter Thai, All the Thai, Bow Thai, Bangkok Cafe. Suvipa slaps so much fucking harder that I loved seeing them get one. And then Peter's Chinese got a shout out for best sesame chicken. I mean, I was like, yeah.
See, and my go-to
Oh,
order
and-
at Peter's is orange chicken.
See, and you can't go wrong with, I mean,
No.
you get it screamed at, you get a fucking stock tip, and you get
mean,
out of there.
Peter's could have a location over on this side of town, and
I'd
it would
suck
do
his dick.
gangbusters.
It's that good. It's so fucking good. I fucking love that. I miss having that. That's what I miss the most about living. Besides living with you and just having all the fun with the PlayStation, it's being in the delivery zone for Peter's Chinese.
My
It was
first
great.
house in Denver, the first place I lived was down the alleyway. So that was just, I was regularly going there. Put in a lot of time.
As a Southerner, I want to give a shout out to whoever did the soul food as well, the Blazing Chicken Shack #2 in Park Hill. It's bangers. And on Friday they do this. They may have it every day, but I usually go on Fridays for Catfish Friday. And you get it with collard greens, and you get a cornbread. You hit it with some hot sauce, and you just crumble them all up and eat it together.
good.
When I saw that, I was like, hell yeah! And I think that one's fairly well known that nowadays. But I loved it. So, and then they gave me a bunch that I had never tried or heard of. So like Frank's Barbecue, I'm never gonna buy a whole hog, but it makes me want to go eat the skin. You know, like I want to get over there and try it. And I think that's what this is best for. Is like, go try something, even if you just have the most, because they have the most random of options. You know, like
Right.
best pizza buffet instead of best pizza. And I couldn't agree more. Woody's Wood Fired is the best pizza buffet.
Well, yeah, and it's funny when we're coming up with categories and pitching those ideas because, you know, this is all people who are doing some type of work in food, in beverage, or something like that. So everybody submits ideas, and then some of them get there and some of them don't make it.
Yeah.
But like I gave another shout out to Mama Joe's Biscuits.
Oh, dude, they slap.
Yeah, and that's a cool team, you know. Like it's got Coperta's head baker. God, I'm so bad with names. Yes, Josie, that's it. And her husband, and those what is it? It's smoked Gouda biscuits, and that's what makes it slap. And their fried chicken's good.
So y'all have some either Arvada representation on the squad, because the best place to splurge on dinner was none other than Stone Cellar Bistro. And I don't think somebody could carry a torch as hard as I have. I've mentioned them on the podcast. I had them in my bracket, which didn't make the cut for points purposes, but I fucking love that restaurant. So whoever called that one, that's a great call too. I love having somebody in Arvada that's going to bat for Don Carlos and fucking Stone Cellar Bistro.
I still need to go to Stone Cellar because I did their food
so
truck
good, dude.
a
Oh,
while
yeah.
ago and met and heard about the whole story, and the food looks amazing, and obviously hearing it from you, it's good. So I
My
gotta
only
check that out.
real gripe, I'm sure if I went deeper into it as it just dropped like 20 minutes ago, my only real gripe is the best West Coast transplant. Fuck you, Reckless Noodles sucks my butthole. It's not good.
Is
It's
that
that place in
on
Cap
Sick,
Hill or whatever. It's just not good. Everyone's like, oh, these crispy prawns. That place is not good. Like,
We went there that one.
yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing and not delicious.
It's a cool space. but the
Carrera's
food-
Taco with the San Diego shrimp quesadilla deserves that award. That's my only gripe.
Yeah,
Reckless Noodle stinks.
100%. I think there was one dish out of what we tried there. It was some kind of salad dish or something that we tried there that was halfway decent, but I would never go back there.
Yeah, same. And so I was like, no. But everything else, obviously, I don't have a frame of reference for everything, but I love some of these cheeky names. Best bar to visit alone. I feel like this is a threat because it's Lakeview Lounge. That's like the one place I would never want to go alone. I'd be like, I need backup, or I just need like a stranger
could-
danger buddy there.
You could get stuck in a sticky situation that you need somebody to come tag you out of.
But I mean, they gave us a bunch of great, like, I didn't know Panzano has a great happy hour. And so next time I'm downtown, I'm going to just slide through.
When will that be? Just kidding.
Friday for opening day. But at the same time, I want to say congratulations to your team. It's always a fun read. I noticed they did not crown a new Best of Denver influencer, which I guess means we retained it.
Incumbent.
We
Yep.
retained it.
Done.
Incumbent. And shout out to all the other winners. And if y'all haven't checked it out, go to Denver or go to westword.com/best-of/24 or 2024, and you can pick between the sections: food and drink. There's cannabis. Oh, Meraki tops. Oh, our friends from Meraki won best new brand on the scene. And we've been talking about them. We've been smoking their weed and their hash. Super proud of those guys. Congratulations.
I didn't even think about contributing to that category. Fuck.
It's okay.
Anyways, also shout out to our boy Ruben at Lorena Del Sur. For getting
Best Oaxacan
food truck.
I'll dig it. I dig it. They gave a bunch of bars that I definitely would need to go check out.
Yeah, and I love it how like some of the categories, just because there are some people in the community that just deserve something, so making a super specific category just to show love, I love the fact that that's been going on.
I guess I could have a small grunt for best place to drink with a view being Burned Down, because I feel like there's a few, that's the South Broadway, it's pretty much like View House but different. I guess if you're like maybe checking out the people there, it's like a pretty people place, but at the same time, I don't want to go there. That's the problem. Either way, I thought y'all did a great job, and y'all should be proud. Hang your hats on it. Molly, congratulations. The only one I have disgruntles with is really Reckless Noodle. I just hate that place personally. All right, Eve, we're on our way.
Sonny's Mediterranean made it in there.
Did you have a say in that?
Yeah, I think so.
Chris will campaign for them like I will for Arvada. Okay, so last but not least, before we dive into the Eve section of the evening, it's the March Madness, Chris. We are down to 4, and it starts today at noon for those listening April 4th.
I love how it gets better and better every year. Like this year with new teams in the bracket. I love the creative ways that people have inspired their bases. Case in point, Funky Flame.
And same for Poulette. We applaud the ingenuity. Like, if you want to share the love with the community, last year Carolyn and Alan gave away free fritters. You know, I was like, I love it. And then this year we saw Funky Flame doing fun dances and like talking about their history of their restaurant. And we get to help kind of share the love and be like, y'all, if you haven't tried it, there's a fucking great reason why they're in the Final Four. Their food, those breakfast sandwiches and the new pigs in a blanket. Oh, and the cheesy bread. Oh, I'm gonna come.
I just love the fact that like the restaurant owners are having fun. They're showing a little bit of their personality, and they're getting into it because that's how you win. That's the strategy. You have to play the game.
And, you know, Bodega just barely lost to Sapsua since we all last spoke. But I think Kayla and Cliff killed it as well.
Yeah.
Like, they made fun little flyers, like with the cats and like with Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and all of those other things, just to kind of help promote the gag. And their restaurant is kind of fun and lively too. Like, if anyone's taking this serious or like sending weird messages, like pump the fucking brakes. We're trying to have some fun here. And then Kike's Red Tacos made it through. I mean, Bakery 4 is a wagon. They are like a Duke as well. Kike is a little more well known, but so the Duke doesn't work this year. But they're a wagon. They're very, very popular. They're fucking delicious. I know you just went and tried out their new bagel spot as our local bagel representative, so we'll get that before we get out of here. But at the same time, Kike's is trying to get over the hump, first as a food truck, and then now they've got their brick and mortar, and they've kind of started to expand their reach within the community and into new communities, and that applies on social media as well. So they're punching their first ticket to a Final Four. Sapsua, Jeremy mentioned it, the shiny new toy, like they're the hot new item. They're the best restaurant, like, you know, high end, like right now, everyone's talking about them. USA Today, New York Times, The Post.
And their staff it comes from a long lineage of being in the hospitality scene. So I've seen, like, I followed like Hiji. She's been given a bunch of shout outs being like, vote Sapsua. And I saw where they made that final push to get over
I
it.
mean, I love it as well. Anna Nee, they even had friends that are also restaurateurs, kind of like, not in a malice way, but just like, hey, we give these people bread, or hey, we
Yeah.
we work with these people. We do our pop-ups here, so we're actively campaigning for them. It's just fun.
And there's no ill will at all. Like
Nah,
all these
I don't think it-
restaurants, no. I mean, like you get beat, you get beat.
And
But
then the last one, Kawani. If y'all have not tried this restaurant in Lohi, it's just around the corner. It's on the same strip as like Recess, or if you're coming from the other direction, like an Avanti or Happy Camper, it's right behind Jacques and Occidental. It is a fucking dank ass restaurant. They opened a restaurant in Newport, Connecticut, and then opened their second one in the fall. And I think everyone that has gone there and eaten there has had glowing things to say about it. And we had the same. Like when we ate there, I think we spent about $150, but the happy hour was a banger, and we ended up staying for a couple hours and ordering more throughout the menu. I mean, it's really neat inside, and the food is very delicious. But they ran into the returning champs, the Buzzsaw, the James Beard finalist, and Penelope Knockers, Caroline, the whole fucking gamut over there. I mean, those ladies are slaying it. Everybody was kind of giving them guff about going just lunches Monday to Friday. That hadn't stopped them. They're fucking printing tickets and stapling them. I mean, they're on a mission. They're
Also-
going back to back. I think they may.
also, let's get off this whole gripe of stuff about restaurant hours. If you have your own fucking business, you can decide how you want to operate. So lay it alone with the comments on Yelp and shit about like, well, I'd love to try this, but I actually fucking work when they're mainly open and stuff like that. Like, just, that's not, you can't throw something negative at a restaurant.
I mean, not for something like, oh, we don't like your working hours. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So good luck to all four. Sapsua's going against Kiki's Red Tacos, and then Funky Flame and Yan Wonton are on the other side. And so the voting starts at noon today for those that are listening on Thursday. It goes until Friday at noon. On Monday, we do our national champion, our square state, our rectangle state championship. It's going to be awesome. We've put in a bug in the ear of some of our friends' restaurants. So our friends from Bird Call are going to do a little family meal for the winning restaurant. They're going to work out the details, and I'm working on something on the side about maybe adding another prize package to the restaurant so that they can get some product or produce, or maybe they can have a special one week that was courtesy of a local purveyor or something of that nature. We're still working. That's in the works, but
Bon Appetit winning dish.
oh my God, it's just like gold flakes on top of caviar on top of fried chicken.
With
Let's
a little
go.
bit of weed on the side. Under the table.
Well, Eve, you've been quiet for 24 minutes, so I'm going to give you the last 7. How long have I gone?
36.
Okay, then we're not too bad.
Great.
Yeah.
So now that, before we go, no, I'm just kidding.
Hold on. So are you about to select the winner?
I guess so.
Oh no, first we're going
Or-
to give her victory lap. I want you to talk some shit. You finally won a draft.
What do you
I've
think
won
propelled you
before.
to victory in this go round?
Good question, Chris.
I think it was just the variety. Like
think-
I've been looking at people's comments, and there's like some sweet, some savory.
So is that your strategy? All
No,
along?
honestly, I was just shopping for me. Like literally, I was like, I didn't care if I won. I just wanted to get stuff that I personally wanted to try.
What?
That's pretty much it.
And
What's
so what was the best thing you tried? Because I want to know more about the overbite. Did you
Okay,
eat
the
the cookies and
overbite.
cream thing?
I didn't try the cookies and cream.
best
I tried
and
the
most
caramel.
disappointing?
Okay,
I mean,
well, the overbite, just so you know, it's a lot of chocolate on the outside. You really have to like,
Get through it.
yeah, I'd almost use a
What
knife
is in
maybe.
the overbite?
The one I got was caramel. It was milk chocolate on the outside, caramel, and the other one I got was
Chocolate
cookies and cream.
Okay.
They had a bunch
Okay.
of
I
I
different
saw a few
combos.
of them, but I didn't see the ones that
But was the caramel in the middle good?
The caramel was good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a lot of chocolate on the outside.
I think I know
like,
your favorite.
My favorite was the apple fritter.
I knew that was coming.
You said on video. Oh my
You
God.
did, yeah, you did love that when you
It
were
was
crunching
fucking
into
good.
it. I haven't. Well, granted, I haven't been around Eve when she's tasted a lot of food, but that was something that
It was
it
good.
made me want to try it because it got Eve excited.
I mean, I've never seen her as excited.
I was thinking.
fair.
I
We're
was
going to have to
thinking.
do more road trips with the team.
I was thinking it was going to be more like the McDonald's style.
Me too.
That's
I
what
think
I was
part of
worried
it, I will
about.
admit, I think my expectations were like so low, to be fair, but still, it was pretty damn good.
I saw people
Pretty damn
voting
good.
for you. They were like, that apple fruit pie slaps and shit like that. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
What was the most disappointing thing in your haul?
I would say the candy, the Pop Rocks candy, kind of
yeah.
coated in. It's not bad,
And it's
but
like a yogurt exterior.
yogurt, which is fine.
It was a little
but
strange.
Yeah, it's more just like it just didn't do anything for. It's like I wouldn't buy it again.
Well,
you
the
know?
pop wasn't there as
barely
it
a
should have
pop.
been. If there was a little
I
more,
had crackle in
I mean,
my
there
ex-
was crackles, but it
Some
wasn't
crackle.
like
Yeah,
Pop
no
Rocks
pops.
where you can.
Which I don't
like-
even really like Pop Rocks
Oh,
to
I
be
love
fair,
those,
but just as a candy, you just ate them. I don't know. It was just like okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
I wouldn't buy it
those.
again.
Yeah.
That's fair. Chris, what was your favorite bite?
I mean, it was a bit of a toss up because I do love that trail mix that I picked up, but I'm gonna have to say like the pecans. I had to fucking like.
Fair.
I had to put
Put 'em
those.
away?
Yeah,
We all
I
got
took
them.
those. I took those into work because then Steph got home and Steph like was like, "Ooh, what are these?" And I saw she like took a couple bites and went and sat down. And then the next thing I know, she's got the fucking cone thing in her hand, snacking on them.
They're so good.
Do
so I
they
had to
sell
buy-
those in bigger things or only in those
don't know.
cones? Because I didn't see them anywhere else.
Oh
If
yeah,
that would
no.
be something
They have
I
to
would
sell
get
them
in like a
somewhere
big
else,
plastic
right?
jug. If,
Well,
yeah,
well,
those
you
were
know,
so
like
good.
at sporting events, they have them in their fucking huge.
Yeah, but this is a convenience
Yes.
store. Well, so what was the most disappointing?
I mean, out of all the things I gotta say like the brisket sandwich. Like out of all the things I got, because like the jalapeno cheese puffs, those were good because those had a high spice and they just taste like cheese puffs, but with a little bit of spice. Those were good. The fucking belts, the sour belts, fucking slapped. Damn it. Like those were good. Even I remember too that was one of the ones that Steph gravitated toward at home. And so I took those into work too and gave a couple of those and people fucking loved them. Like those are gone. And the Buc-ee's rings, like the barbecue, like kind of fried rings, those were really fucking good. So I would say, yeah, the brisket sandwich
I
out
get
of
it.
what I pulled.
And
was-
just for the price, I looked at it. I think that's the most expensive thing I bought because it was like 7 something
The
or
sandwich?
$8.
Yeah.
I think it was
not-
if it was like $4, I'd be like okay, but I feel like it's like a little too expensive for.
well,
Well, barbecue's expensive.
I'm
these
not
days.
saying-
I
I'm
mean,
not
you
saying
get that
that-
at a restaurant that's equally mid, and it's probably $14.
If I was on a road trip though, and I
But,
was like
like, for the
hungry for a
reasons we just-
sandwich, I would
Decent
grab.
enough, but price comes into sometimes
yeah.
my judgment of things. You know
No,
what I
that's
mean?
exa-
But it's
and
not.
it's
It
true.
wasn't terrible. But just looking at it, I was like, oh, this was.
I like the
$8.
chopped one. Oh, you went pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Yeah, y'all have got to go chopped.
I went
brisket.
sliced brisket.
Y'all got to go chopped brisket next time. My favorite
Okay.
bite was my most expensive bite, and it was the ghost pepper beef jerky from the Register. It's just good. It's very, very fucking spicy, and it's very,
How'd
very
it
delicious.
go that night?
It was fine through the evening. The next day, it was a second kiss, is what we'll call it.
Ooh, Satan's kiss. Love those.
I don't love them, but at the same time, it didn't keep me from eating more of the beef jerky. My least favorite bite. The churros just didn't do anything.
I agree.
They didn't-
Kinda
they needed-
Too dry.
dissolved.
They needed more sugar and they needed some more oomph in the actual texture of the, like, it was almost like, I don't know, the inside didn't have anything going for it. And then the cinnamon to sugar ratio on the outside was to the point where it's almost like you're doing not a cinnamon challenge, but it's like, oh, don't smoke. You have to drink something with it because you can't, it's not like refreshing. It's not crispy like a churro. And it doesn't have like, if it was even if it was like a Biscoff cookie, I'd fucks with it, but it just didn't have the texture I was looking for, and the exterior didn't have the proper ratio of cinnamon, sugar to
soft.
delish. Chris, at least we got to enjoy some personal time with Eve. We got 4 hours unabated, great tunes, good games, a lot of bonding. Eve's about to shit all over all of that, and she has to pick one winner from Instagram that voted for her to win a Bucees gift card, and then she's going to reach out to them directly, and then she's going to hand
Oh,
deliver.
You're reaching out to
I'll
them.
do all the rest.
Thanks.
But she's
Singing
gonna,
telegram.
she's going to pick the winner of the Bucees gift card for playing along in our first ever poll draft.
You got it?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Kayla Lynn, who said Eve got a real bang for her Buc-ee's.
Oh, I
So clever. It got me. I read
bravo.
it and I was like, yeah.
All right,
And just so
she-
we're clear, Eve has no affiliation with Kayla, so
Yeah,
there's
I
no
looked at her
collusion.
profile. Oh
she's
yeah.
from Maine. She doesn't
tell-
know anybody.
No,
What
I
if
did
this
double
girl
check.
turns out she's from Maine and they were best friends
Like,
growing
oh,
up?
you
The
played field
music
hockey?
was made by Kayla. So I did double check. I was like, that's not her, right? And then
Okay.
I made sure.
Okay. Thanks to everybody who participated. Before we go, Drink Red, Wear Red is in May. The Colorado Restaurant Association party that we always go big for. I'm wearing the same shirt I wore that evening. Tickets are now on sale. You can use promo code STONED, capital S, capital T, capital O, capital N, capital E, capital D, for 10% off your tickets. Eve, that was your first time to hang out with us outside of the office, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
All right, well, until next episode, stay high, stay hungry.
Eve's a winner.
Thanks, Kayla.
Cheers.
Cheers.